Anyways, let me get started. I think a good place to start is explaining what exactly Family Life is. Family Life is a Christian organization designed to help families grow and thrive through the gospel and to influence other families along the way. Some of the resources that FamilyLife.com offers are marriage resources, to include preparing for marriage, which was something that we should have done a little better. I think now that we've been divorced and remarried, I think one of the problems that people that have been married before think, I've been married. I know how to do this. I don't need nobody to tell me how to be married. I don't need no, especially if you had a failed marriage, you probably need somebody to talk you through all that.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we would have had a little more marriage counseling
Yeah.
preparation.
Well, and even if you haven't been divorced, there's probably a lot of things you think you know about marriage, but you really don't. That's not taught. That should be taught. So.
But I think we thought we knew from our mistakes. I hate when people say you learn from your mistakes. Sometimes that's true, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes when I make mistakes, I just want to put them behind me.
Well, and something we like to say is that we didn't know what we didn't know.
Yeah, we didn't know what we didn't know.
If you don't know what you don't know, it's kind of hard to learn from your mistakes when you don't really know what you did wrong.
That's right. Also, at FamilyLife.com, you can learn about communication in marriage. Communication is a big deal. It's one of the biggest problems we had. They also talk about romance and sex. Hey, if you're struggling in your sex life, in your romance life, your intimacy life, it may be drifting apart, or you may want to make it better. Family Life has a lot of good resources, podcasts, and articles, and posts. Yeah. And forgiveness, and conflict resolution, all different things they can talk about. They also have small group studies, how to conduct small group studies, where you can find a small group study near you. Then they also have the Weekend to Remember. You can go to FamilyLife.com and register for the Weekend to Remember. Find one in your area. So we went to the one in Branson, Missouri. We live in Arkansas near Little Rock. There's also one coming up in September at Hot Springs. So all of you that are in the local area in Arkansas, Central Arkansas, there is a Weekend to Remember in Hot Springs come up in September. I don't know the exact date. You can look on the website to find out, FamilyLife.com. There's also a Love Like You Mean It cruise. Wouldn't have to do that. Love Like You Mean It marriage cruise that Family Life puts on, Christian base. They have parenting resources, and then they have one of the biggest sections of Family Life is the blended family, which is led by Ron Deal and several others. But we're kind of involved. We're kind of involved in a blended YouTube site. We're not involved in Family Life, but we use Family Life blended resources a lot, and we learn a lot from them. And there's also Christian faith resources. So if you are not a Christian, there are great Christian resources on how to become a Christian and the gospel of Jesus, and Bible studies, and great resources on Family Life. It's not just a marriage and families. It's a great Christian site. Okay, so Lori, talk about the Weekend to Remember.
So it's a combination of a Christian marriage conference and a romantic retreat. The theme of the event, we got our coffee cups. Theme of the event is to help husbands and wives move from isolation to oneness. So they teach, in a nutshell, if you don't really are not intentional about working on your marriage, you're going to drift into isolation. You have to you're either going to drift to isolation or you're going to work and up to oneness. And so their thing is to help you be one, help you work toward oneness. And so one of the things that we learned is that you're either going to be stagnant, just kind of like a boat out in the ocean, just kind of floating along, not really going anywhere, or you're going to be working toward oneness. And so sadly, most couples realize after years of marriage that they're most likely just drifting towards isolation instead of growing together towards oneness, because growing together takes intention. It takes you wanting to make your marriage better.
And I think if you don't know these terms and these definitions and these ideas, if you don't know this, you think, well, we do our own thing, and every once in a while we get together, but he goes his way and I go my way, and you think it's just okay, it's just normal.
Yep.
and you realize that you're drifting
No,
apart.
that's not normal.
You're drifting apart. You're being isolated, and you may disagree, but we found that isolation in marriage is not the best thing. Okay, so talking about isolation, there's some warning signs that we learn that you are drifting towards isolation. Is when like you're not able to resolve your fights, your arguments, your disagreements. You're not able to resolve it, or they build upon each other and they escalate. One argument builds on the next one. There's no peace in the home. Uh, you don't want to be around each other. It's constant chaos. Sometimes you're too busy to connect on a regular basis, and that's a sign that you're drifting away. You're drifting towards isolation, or there's no meaningful communication. That's probably one of the things that causes everything. You're not able to communicate in a meaningful way. That causes all the problems. And you get to a point to where you feel you're more like roommates. Maybe you're just in a professional contract. You're sharing the bills. You know, you're not romantically involved. You're just sharing space. We didn't really get to that point, but when we heard about that part, we were getting that way. Just didn't realize it. There's no excitement in the marriage, and we're not talking about intimately. It's just part of it, and we'll get there. But you don't do things together. You don't enjoy things together. You're just there. And the sexless marriage, that's for real. And we talked about it on the last episode. That's one of the symptoms of drifting towards isolation. And finally, if you're drifting towards isolation, you have a feeling of hopelessness, that neglected, or you're not loved. So in essence, you are married, but you're not together. So what does oneness look like?
So oneness in a marriage is resolving issues and overcoming struggles instead of just letting them fester. Shared peace when we're together. So when we're together, we're at peace with each other. We're sharing our dreams and goals together. Both feel like we're a part of a team and not two different teams, but we're the same team. We're communicating at a deeper, more meaningful level, and I'll kind of give you some more details about that later. Romantic and intimate at a deeper level, a high trust level, and then a longing to be together. So you actually want to be together.
Right. So and some of the things we talked about, and I'm not going to go into detail. I'm just going to highlight the topics. But here's the book they give you, Weekend to Remember. They give you a workbook, and they give you a couple of little pamphlets along the way for some activities you have to do. But some of the topics at the Weekend to Remember that Family Life Retreat is communication in marriage. They teach you the importance of communication and how you get it wrong. And thinking, well, we're pretty good at that. We're pretty good at getting it wrong. They teach you how to do better. And you're like, these are some skills that I've never really thought about before. So they teach you communication skills. And they spend quite a bit of time talking about God's design in marriage. Genesis 2 and 3, chapter 1. And that's something you've heard over and over and over. But you know what? I never thought about it like that. It's a deeper level that you often overlook. But God designed marriage from the creation, Adam and Eve. The two becoming one. That is where marriage started, and that's the model for marriage. Man and woman come together, and that's that oneness. Two become one. The leave and cleave. They talk about that a lot. Leave and cleave. Leave your father and your mother and cleave to your wife. They talk about that a lot. They talk about resolving conflict, which goes along with communication. They talk about threats to your marriage. We have threats to your marriage. Satan is alive and well. I had a conversation with somebody recently at work. He was talking about how marriage is between you and God and your wife, your husband and wife, the triangle thing, your husband and wife and God. And then Satan is trying to attack your marriage. He's not in that triangle, but he's out there trying to attack your marriage. And you have to be working together to achieve that oneness If you're not trying to achieve that oneness, Satan is going to try to break you up. The world doesn't want you married. The world hates marriage.
Mm-hmm.
The world hates the Christian version of marriage. You know, they don't want men and women married. Period.
Yep.
They want to pervert marriage, and we're not going to get them. Well, maybe one day we'll talk about that. And we ourselves, we can mess it up. I think that's for us. That's something I've learned, that we have no problem messing up our marriage on our own. Just like everything else in life, I have no problem messing up my own life. I don't need somebody else to help me. I can mess up on my own.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the threats to your marriage. Then there's a section on sexual intimacy, and the I thought this year's session was better. The last year was really good, but this time we had the great couple, the husband and wife team. They get up there and they made some jokes, and they kind of softened it up and cut and what do you call it? They cut through the awkwardness.
Yeah.
They made it easy for you to respond. Last year, I think we should have had them last year, because last year we were kind of.
Last year's couple was still good. We weren't ready to hear it. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't. Let's go take a break. You know, we got to sit through this session, but this year we were going along, and they really. This is the one thing that most of you out there are like, well, I don't know if I'm ready to sit through that hour-long session on sex and marriage, but it's worthwhile. You have it's really beneficial, and the couple this time was really good. And then they talk about a date night, and you plan a date night, and for those that are struggling, you want to make sure it's special, and plan it out, and cut all your distractions off. And, you want to make that date night to where that's going to take everything you've learned and try to rekindle your fire.
Yep.
And then the next day there's a men's only session, and then there's a women's session, and there's also a blended family session that Rondell puts on, and we thought that was beneficial, since we are a blended family. That was beneficial. Okay.